Alright, welcome back to the channel. We just had the second to the last introduction for the college playoff predictions. The last one and the final bracket going to end up being this coming Sunday once you get all the conference championships getting done with. The thing that you end up learning off of this is just that Texas Tech becomes the team that replaces Texas A&M as the team with the bye. Georgia becomes the favorite in the SEC. Texas A&M drops to 6. Most of the rest stays basically the same. And all the noise, including Lane Kiffin going to LSU, all of that, none of that seemed to really affect the playoff rankings. You're kind of concerned that it might be based off of what they did with Florida State whenever Jordan Travis got hurt in the first year of the playoff. But just a coach leaving, going to another school does not seem to affect what the playoff predicting staff ends up believing is in the best option. But from that, what we did learn, 8 of the 12 spots, they're locks. Ohio State, Indiana playing each other. Both of them are getting first round byes regardless of what happens on it. That's going to be 2 of your byes. Then you have Georgia and then probably Alabama. The winner of that's going to likely get a bye. We'll see what happens for that other one. Texas Tech is the one in the favored position at this point, but if Texas Tech loses, that opens the door for potentially Oregon to get that spot, since Oregon does not have another game to play. But the one thing that is more in question is everyone else on the bubble. So all of these teams are either group of 5 teams or the ones that are within the top 15 overall. There's a decent bit of them that is just not very likely, like Utah, like Texas, Miami, and Vanderbilt. Those 4 are very likely not going to get in the field, regardless of what happens. But some of the rest of them is going to be based off of the conference championships themselves, as they can play in to get in. So, with the easiest portion of what we've learned, starting off with the ones that can go just win and get in. Starting off with the American. You had Tulane being ranked at 20 and North Texas coming into the playoff rankings for the first time at 24, which is the top 2 at-large teams that would come in from a group of 5 conference, both of them above James Madison. So the winner of this game, almost certainly, unless they change their mind on something, is going to be a group of 5 team that makes it in. Does not matter. It's going to be this Friday, Yulman Stadium, 7 p.m. Central. I'll be at the game. We'll see which coach that's getting replaced is going to leave their team and that potential playoff berth, as John Summerall went to Florida and North Texas's coach went to Oklahoma State. Both of them leaving for Power 4 jobs. And one of their teams that are left over are going to end up being in the playoff. So, going on to the Power 4. You have Texas Tech and BYU. So, both of them, 1 loss, meeting up for the Big 12 championship, Saturday, 11 a.m. There is a very different opinion for both teams with 1 loss. Texas Tech seems to be a sure thing, no matter what people say, even enough to where they're going to be the last team to get that first round bye as of this moment. BYU, on the other hand, their only loss is to Texas Tech, so you'd think they probably should be fairly close in rankings, but no, they're ranked number 11, which, if you include 2 potential conference champs that aren't in the top 12, would make BYU that first team out. In that case, for Virginia or James Madison and whichever of the American teams that actually get in. So at this point, BYU is still that first team out. Then you go to the SEC championship, where Georgia's going to be a sure thing in, but Alabama win and be sure you get in. But there is the concern that if Alabama loses, they may dock them for playing a game that they did not, that other teams within the similar background of rankings did not have to play. Which in the same way could punish BYU, which potentially opens a spot for that 12 seed, which in this case would end up being Alabama. Not Alabama, Miami. If they do end up counting conference championships as detrimental for a loss, Alabama could lose to Georgia, and then you have BYU losing to Texas Tech. If both of those two lose and they actually put that as a negative on their resume, then you have that 12 seed Miami being that next team up on the list. So potentially they can make that happen. But same thing. Alabama win, you get in. Alabama lose. We'll see what the committee does. And then lastly, for the one that's going to cause the most chaos if the upset happens, is Virginia and Duke. Virginia gets in with 2 losses if they win. Win and make the playoff. Simple as that. Duke, on the other hand, that's the one scenario where James Madison's looking for. If the Blue Devils end up being Virginia in the ACC championship game, James Madison, as long as they beat Troy, who are going to be a heavy favorite in the Sun Belt, James Madison will come in likely as that 12 seed. If Duke wins and James Madison loses, I don't really know what happens. That next team on the list may end up just being UNLV, who is currently 10-2, playing Boise State in the Mountain West, coming into 11-2. Dan Mullen has a shot if all hell breaks loose, and a team that's not even in the top 25 could make it in over the ACC champion. But yeah, those are scenarios off of it. Very likely you're down to the top 12 that's rated in the playoffs at this point to 16 teams. Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, Notre Dame, BYU, Miami, Virginia, Tulane, North Texas, James Madison. And there's your final 16. I guess you say UNLV would be 17. But that literally have to be, everything would be an upset. That any upset possible would have had to happen. And you really only have 4 games that really matter. But yeah, final week. We got 5 days before the full rankings and full playoffs are set. And we figure out where everyone's starting to play, who's getting the hosts. Honestly, a lot of the host sites are probably pretty set. And then who else gets the first round buys. But thank y'all for watching. I'll give more of a reaction once we actually do get those final playoff rankings, what I kind of expect, who's going to end up being favored in those first round matchups, and who's going to be, I'll probably give my actual pick of who I think is going to win the whole thing. I hope it's not a repeat of Ohio State, but I'll try not to be biased on it. But yeah, more videos on it coming soon, more content coming, maybe college basketball, maybe pro basketball, maybe pro football. We'll see what happens. Thank y'all for watching. Oh, and probably some content on a lot of the coaching carousel and transfer portal, and maybe even some recruiting stuff. We'll see what happens. Thank y'all for watching. More videos coming soon. I'll see y'all next time.